Picture growing up in another land, a land not your own, living in a different country. Growing up there not because you've been a missionary and you chose to go there, or your parents are diplomats and you were born while you were over there. But growing up in a country because you were exiled, you were sent away from the land of your ancestors, forced to live in a different country. That's the scenario, that's the situation we see with Haggai when we come to him. He's born in exile, away from his land because, well, it wasn't they weren't devoted to God, his ancestors, but they had, brought other gods alongside. God was not the most important to them. They kept bringing other things in. Other things got in their way of their devotion to God. So Haggai is born in this foreign country, away from the land that was promised to his ancestors. Then the opportunity comes up. Haggai has the opportunity to return, to rebuild what once was. That's the situation here. Ezra mentions 2 times Haggai the prophet. And he's part of the group that seems to come back to Jerusalem to rebuild. Back to rebuild the temple. Back to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. But that work had stopped. Opposition has grown up. We can read about the rebuilding. We can read about this opposition in Ezra and in Nehemiah. But what I want to look at in Haggai here is in chapter 1. Haggai chapter 1. I want to read the first couple verses here. Haggai chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. This is what the Lord Almighty says. These people say, "The time has not yet come for the Lord's house to be built." Then the word of the Lord came through the prophet Haggai. "It is time for you yourselves to be living in your paneled houses while this house remains in ruin." Translation: you're taking care of yourself. You're taking care of your business, your house, your things, but you're not doing what God has brought you back for. Yes, we're back in the land. Yay, let's celebrate. And they did. And that was fine. But they were then taking care of self. God, through Haggai, says, well, what about me? Think about what you were brought back for. See, we have the privilege of history, of looking back and saying, oh yeah, it was there so that they were back in Jerusalem, the temple was rebuilt for the Messiah to come. But they were content just looking at self. God has called us to make provisions for the Messiah to return. Yeah, for us, it's the final return of the Messiah. No, it's not about rebuilding the temple. No, it's not about getting the church building just right or reclaiming this land, but about going about our Father's business. We need to get going in building the church. Building the church, which is people knowing of God and God's love. They were enjoying being God's people, and they lost sight of what it meant to be God's people. We likewise, we need to make sure we don't lose sight of while we're here, for others to know of God, His love, and His mercy that came through His Son. Like those in Haggai's day, we need to get going.